Yeah, I know my intro's real bad. Okay. The PowerPoint presentation that's done with every video for like 30 seconds because I optimized it that way. So let's see. I mean, since Estonia and a large chunk of Europe already joined, including Germany, because Germany doesn't want to lose Kaliningrad or Königsberg, as it's called, in the new German Nationalist Republic. Even though, even the Polish areas would seem pretty nice, the Kaliningrad area is way more German, so the Germans view it as a more justified thing to take over Kaliningrad more than to defend Kaliningrad. Plus, it would improve their relations and solidify their grounds, while Western Europe suffers economic depressions, low birth rates, absolute instability. Basically, in Europe, nothing changes. Like the currently the migration wave isn't that large. I mean, like in Ukraine, migration is bad, but it's not that unstable as Islamic migration due to the civilization and cultural differences. So basically, after the capturing of Brest, some Royal Baltic troops they are able to move here, but that doesn't mean anything as Russian troops move into Estonia, but the Estonians fight back, but the slow land is very bad to control. I mean, they start hiding in the forests and start launching a guerrilla campaign. Since the area isn't really that hilly, so yep. So while Ukrainian troops, which are mainly fled to Lviv, strike back, led by the Ukrainian ultra-nationalist party. Hungary, which sees an advantage from joining this war, decides to join it. Even though Russia is currently losing, but the Hungarians divert some resources due to their very easily capture of Barat. And they are also really good at capturing Vienna, which has become a core part of Germany at this point because they have been united for like 120 years. Slovak, but eventually some mutinies formed due to them not wanting to attack Poland because they're bros. Same with Poland, so that instability forms in those two countries. Vienna is on the verge of being retaken, and it's retaken. Banat is also on the verge of falling, but this actually does allow for the Russians to actually have a good offensive in Ukraine, which also goes back. And the Polish military, which demilitarized a bit during like the middle period, but is now remilitarizing again and with nukes. So nuclear involvement becomes a case, not a study. Nukes are now a big thing, so and they're not that cool. Nukes aren't cool, okay. Eventually, the Carpathians are crossed, the Carpathian Mountains are crossed, and this area gets invaded. With both Romania and Ukraine falling, the Poles are actually able to form themselves into a fortress and basically strike back. But even Russian reinforcements can't handle Hungary. Even Hungary can't handle, so they surrender. In return, that they don't lose land. All they really want is to keep Transylvania now. they've been humbled, and Hungary's forcefully get got out of the war, but it's still mostly. But that doesn't mean that troops are out of it. So now, the peace treaties cause like the Russian and due to the peace treaty, some areas are now neutral. Some areas are actually controlled by the Hungarian government, like here in like here over the Transdanubian area, Danubia, whatever you want, Panoania in the Panoanian basin. While some other areas are being retaken by Russian troops, which due to global warming have actually become stronger. But European, but German, Polish, Czechoslovak troops attack Russian troops. So the Rus are becoming weaker. So with the Russians are now a bit weaker now. So and the Romanian areas are now getting independentified, and some areas in Ukraine are still holding on, specifically small border territories. And with the fall of Bucharest, all of Wallachia is reclaimed, and not all of Wallachia, but this area with Moldova being a Russian area. But Lithuania strikes back with and German troops naval invade Riga. So basically now troops are moving into Belarus. And by the way, democracy is slowly but surely getting out of control. So now full democracies are very popular in Europe. America's a democracy, but it isn't that cool of a democracy. But Russian troops are struggling against European troops now, and the Courland with men now fleeing to Petrograd. Also, the Germans would decide to follow them, and now they're sieging Petrograd. The Finns realizing that it's a perfect time to reclaim a great port city, which can be very useful for trade. By the way, the moon has a small settlement now, but still. So they now move in and they capture Arglashansk, and with Russia being the country that's starting to lose armies. And also, these guys retreat out of Hungary. The Ukrainian government, which has already fallen, I think it's better to represent the Ukrainian Belarusian government, which has already fallen as this. Well, and the Finns are already moving a lot of troops along with German naval invaders. And the Swedes, which straight up involved, straight up got in because a guy who led a metal band straight up joined in and just was like, "Yeah, but let's invade Russia. Why not?" But and this is not and Russia's winter bonus is weakening now, so Moscow is very easy to capture. Petrograd finally falls, so after years of besieging, and Estonia is getting reclaimed, but the Russians are actually able to strike back with about 1 million troops moving into to encircle. But eventually, this northern Manchurian country, which I don't know what's doing there, it's like Harbin, I think. Harbin is made up of a large bunch of Russians. So this Russo-Chinese area, even though there's a lot of Chinese here, there's a lot of Russians here. It's a very cultural mixed area. Also, a bunch of Circassians which have survived, basically Adigines. Adigines also are decide to declare independence, along with Abkhazia, which is actually an independent country, but this time was actually an independent, semi-recognized country, which Georgia doesn't like that it's a country, but it's liking that it's kicking the Russians off land. Russian troops are able to strike back and retake this area along with the Russian Black Sea Navy to take base. But you realize that this is a terrorist organization and a purist organization, so massive amounts of massacres and forced cultural conversions are done by Circassia. And the Abkhazians also a massive amount of conversion is done in Circassian areas, with only so now with only 30% of Circassians and Abkhazians are Islamic, about and 60% is Orthodox and 10% is atheist, but all the atheists are currently being killed down. So this series of religions also spreads to Karachay. Well, the Sea of Azov gets conquered with this really good harbor being used for a naval invasion. A lot of Tatars also rebel in central Crimea, but these Tatars are barely anything to do to the Russians. With by this point, the war has gone to too long, but both sides are Ukrainian organizations, Ukrainian terrorist organizations, which have become the main form of guerrilla warfare, rise up all over, along with Donbass stations, Crimean organizations, called the Kalmy Code, which is currently sitting down Astrakhan. The A line has become a very big line. And the Russian oligarchs, which have somewhat survived and have successful, or decide to start sending nukes. Now, the terrorist organizations, you can't do anything against them. So nukes are sent to Königsberg, Warsaw, Helsinki, and Prague. But not a lot, because nuke deflectors have also been built in a lot of countries, especially in the Balkans, which are under construction. There are bajillion nuke deflectors. And one nuke deflector actually hits the area of France. I think in Champagne. So yeah, with that, by that point, you don't realize that. I think that we should maybe give up now, as the oligarchs are dying. Half of them commit suicide. The other half are being chased out of their homes by populist groups. And the war is very brutal in Russia, because the Russian army has completely collapsed with small military holdings. And after this, within a few weeks, all of Ukraine and Belarus is reclaimed, while all of this area is all of this isn't. So, yep. Astrakhan. And eventually, some negotiations are formed with some local elites. The Kalmy Code declares independence, along with the Circassia and the along the Circassian Confederation. The Circassian Confederation. Also, Finland gains all of this. The Murmansk region, meh. Yep, if that's the end of the video, thank you for watching. Please subscribe and goodbye.